Hello everyone, this is WorpeX. I'm going to do a quick truck making tutorial here. Just going to make this real quick and super basic. The goal of this is not necessarily to teach you how to use Photoshop or Blender, but just to give you the basics so you can get started and do this on your own and kind of use what you've learned here and expand upon that. So we're going to get started with got two trucks on the screen here. This is both my trucks. I got Barely Tame 2020. This is kind of the modern rendition of the older truck, and then I've got the leaf spring version. So what I had done previously was kind of reimagine this old Barely Tame truck in a modern chassis, in a modern environment. What I did not do was I never took the old original 1988 Barely Tame and do the same thing that I had done with the 1991 one, as you're seeing here. So what we're going to do in this tutorial is I'm going to take the paint from this old leaf spring truck and I'm going to put it onto the new, a new different body and a new chassis. We're also going to maybe make some other changes in Blender. One thing I really like about this old leaf spring truck is it's got these KC lights on the top. I think it's kind of iconic looking. Maybe we'll see if we can put them on top of the body here, just to kind of give it a little bit more personality. It also has this little, like, I don't know the name of it, this like lip here above the windshield. Maybe we can bring that over as well. This is a rear engine truck, so I'm not going to go as far as to add the headers on the front here, although I think that is very cool looking. We're not going to do that over here. Yeah, so I think that should probably be it. Maybe we'll also change the tires as well. Maybe put Goodyears on instead of BKTs. We'll see how far we get. So let's start simply by taking Barely Tame 2020, and we're going to, all right, let's go to our desktop here, and let's get into our Rigger Rods folder. Contents, where's my Barely Tame? We're going to take the Barely Tame 2020 folder, we're going to extract this, extract files, Barely Tame 2020. So that'll put a folder right here on our in our content folder, Barely Tame 2020. I actually want to just real quick. Let's remove that truck so that I can delete this folder. Still not let me do it. All right, that's right. So let's just close Rigger Rods. Alright, so close Ogre Rods. I want to delete that folder simply because we're going to have duplicate trucks if we have the zip folder file and just a regular folder in our content. So the nice thing about Ogre Rods is it can read just regular folders as well as zip files. So we now have a regular folder of just a Barely Tame truck, which is great. So what we're going to do first, let's rename this. Barely Tame 88, and we're going to check here and look at our .truck file. So you see there's a bunch of truck files in here, which Barely Tame comes with a V4 version as well as I believe it's an AMT version. We don't need the AMT trucks. Delete those out of here, and we want to copy. Let's copy the retro one. Actually, yeah, like I can do it from here. Final chart is Barely retro. Let's copy that. Paste it. All right, so now we got a duplicate of our .truck file, the retro truck file. So we will make a new one. Let's rename that so we don't lose what was already done. So we'll do retro 88. Great. We'll open that up. I went to my other screen. Sorry about that. We got Barely Tame 2020 retro 88. Great. So this will be the truck file that we're going to use for the new paint or repaint of Barely Tame 2020. So the truck file is, if you don't know what truck file is, this file is basically what combines everything that you see in this folder, and it's what Rigger Rods reads to combine all that together. So Rigger Rods is going to see the top line here, and that's the name of our truck. So Barely Tame 2020 Retro 88. If we go into Rigger Rods, which we will do, we will be able to load that truck in. So let's we'll just pick some random track here. I like to leave Rigger Rods open. The nice thing about Rigger Rods is it will reload the truck file every time you hit reload. So you never need to close Rigger Rods. So we will do Barely Tame. And we see now, Barely Tame Retro 88. This will be our new truck file. Whoa, that's really loud. Let's not have sound. Okay, good enough. Right, so obviously we haven't done any changes yet. We literally just copied. So we will make some changes real quick. Now, first thing we're going to do, we're going to look at our file here. We're going to find the paint. So, we have two paints here, as you can see. We got the new paint, which is the actual Barely Tame 2020, and then the Barely Retro paint. I'm going to actually take this one right here, and we're going to load that up into our paint program. I use Photoshop. You don't need to use Photoshop. You can use anything. There's paint.net. There's GIMP. Other versions of Photoshop. I use a very old version of Photoshop. And it went to my other screen. Sorry about that. Let's move it over. I use an older version of Photoshop just because that's what I own. And yep, that's how I know how to use, and I'm not going to stop. So easy. We're not going to teach you how to use Photoshop if you don't know how to use it. If you don't know how to use it, there's lots of tutorials on the internet. I'm going to do a very simple repaint here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the black area here. I'm going to do a select inverse. I need to find a red color. I could probably match the actual paint of the other one. Let's get the actual paint color, because I don't know the actual paint color. So let's get the actual paint color. So let's go into our other truck file. This is Barely Tame 1.0. And let's find the paint for the other truck. We'll pop that in here. Great. Then we get the exact color that we need. Perfect. Great. I'm actually going to delete parts of this because we still want it to look like a real truck still. Are there any other parts that I'm missing? Yeah. Oops. Good. Good. So this is a pretty simple paint. I'm just going to take the logo and I'm going to take the Barely Tame image, the Barely Tame bear, and I'm going to pop them in. Great. Love it. That's perfect. That's all we need. Great. Let's save that to Barely Tame 88, and then we'll do Barely Tame 2020. We'll do 88 body. Great. So now we have our new body, and we're going to place it onto into our new truck file. So we still have our truck file open. This is our Barely Tame Retro 88. So this is our new repaint truck file. We're going to scroll down. I usually use a mixture of both managed materials and material files for trucks. There's advantages and disadvantages. The managed materials is a lot simpler and a lot cleaner. It allows you to really reduce the amount of files that are in your trucks folder significantly. As you can see, managed materials, this is how we manage the actual picture files and also our spec images. So I personally generally will do almost everything in managed materials except for the body. I've noticed at least on my computer, I've noticed. I don't know if anyone else has the issue. I've noticed issues with the fiberglass and the body having issues. They're very next to each other when you use managed materials. I don't have that issue when I use material files. And material files are, if you look over here, the material file here is just a file which is the exact same name as the body or just as the mesh, and it will handle the images. So I have to open this one up here. As you can see, this is how it manages images. This is the spec file here, and then this is the image that we just created. This is the wrong folder, so let's go back into our other folder. So one downfall of using material files, which we're going to run into here, is material files matched to the mesh, or matched to the mesh. So you can only have one mesh, one image per mesh. So that's the nice thing about material files, is you can have one mesh and you can put as many images on it as you want with different truck files. In this case, I'm probably going to have to use managed materials here because I already have I probably have 2 material files here is my guess. Kind of rambling here, sorry. Oh, a couple of material files. Yeah, so I have a different mesh for each one of these bodies so that I can have a different PNG attached to each one of the different meshes. Because I'm just making a repaint, I would have to make a new mesh if I wanted to use a material file. So we're not going to do that. We're going to go real simple. We'll just do a... Did I delete that? Yeah. We'll just use managed materials. Managed materials will allow us to get away with not having to create a new mesh. So all we need is... Where's our material file? There it is. All we need is the mesh name. Which is this here. Body barely retro. And we're just going to pop it into here. Wow. Then we need our new image file. What is our new image file name? Right there. Now we did not create a spec image, which we could if we wanted to. Yeah, let's just do that real quick. Spec image is pretty damn simple to make. That's pretty good. Done. That's all we're going to do. Great. So spec image, anything dark will be more reflective. So if you want, to get this nice like reflective shine, or sorry, other way around. Anything the brighter it is, the more reflective it is. So if you look here, I got this the background of the bear really reflective. If you were to look in the spec, it would be really bright, and then anything darker is less reflective. Anyway, so we updated our truck file, so now we are using our managed materials to manage this body here. So we're loaded, and we should have there. It's looking a little flat. The spec image doesn't look that nice. We might need to raise the color on that. That's no big deal. Then we're also noticing that we got some clipping going on, which kind of sucks. Easy fixes. We drop this to 80%. had some clipping problems, so we dropped that a little bit. I dropped that a little too far. Resave that. We'll resave that. And then we'll reload to see what it looks like. Alright, that looks a little better. Still looks a little flat. Still looks a little flat, but whatever. It's good enough for my money, at least for now. Okay, so we have repainted the body, but we haven't painted everything else, obviously. Easy enough, we can find all of that in the truck file. So we just kind of got to go through the same exact process. So we've got barely, I believe, what do we need to change here? Let's go back to the truck file, see what we need to change. All these little details, I believe, are under this here, barely PEI color. Pop that back in here. Get my red color back. I lost my red. So 4 links, shocks, sway bars, all that. And then, actually, I'm going to go a little bit lighter. I kind of want it to shine a little bit. And that'll be the spec. Great. So now we see them in the folder here, and we'll just replace barely PEI colors 88. Barely PEI colors 88. Dash spec. And then we'll just pop it up here, reload. Great. It's already looking much, much nicer. Got red everywhere. A couple other things still are missing red, but we can go back through and find what all that stuff is later. No big deal. Let's go through and let's work on the body. A couple things you need here. You do specifically need Blender, and specifically Blender 7.9 is what the Ogre exporter and importer works with. So find that, get the Ogre plugin into your Blender file, and you should be good to go. Okay, so we're going to have to mess with the body of both of these trucks. So we need to find the body. It's barely 88 body.mesh. That's what we want. Let's pop that to my desktop. And we're going to go back to our new truck and find the body of that as well. I should have a barely 2020 retro.mesh. I think that's it right there. Great. So this Ogre exporter only does mesh.xml files. So we actually need to convert these to XML files first, which is very easy. This actually comes with this actually comes with rigor rods. It's a file right here, Ogre Xml Converter. Whoa! Don't click on them. Go to our Blender, and you can delete this box. It is useless. We go to File, Import, ogre3d.mesh.xml, and let's do. We're gonna have to load them both in eventually. We'll do barely body 88. This should be the old truck's body. We're gonna grab a couple things off of this. Might take a little bit to load. Now, I'm not entirely sure where these KC lights are. Okay, good. They are on this. Perfect. So that's going to load in the body. And we don't need most of this, so I'm going to change that to solid so we can see what the heck we're doing. Great. We don't need most of this. I don't need any of that. I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. We're not trying to put the entire truck in, just small details, so we don't need a large majority of this. We don't really need to delete this stuff out, but it is kind of useful. Great, so these are the two things we want. Whatever this thing is, the roof shade and the KC lights. So we will save a Blender file of this right onto our desktop, and we can close this out. Okay, now we're going to load in the body we actually want. So this is the body we want. We're just going to make some minor changes to it. Perfect. Beautiful. Now we're going to append. We're going to go to the blend file that we just created with the old truck object, and we have let's see, the 88 KC lights. We have to import all these other things in. 88 lights. Append roof shade. Roof shade fiberglass. Perfect. Great. So now we added our new things in. Just gotta put them into position. Some of these touch and some of these don't, so we might need to make some small adjustments. So we're going to go into the mesh of them. Ooh, got little dots around here. We can clean those up. Oops, actually let's just do select. Select by trait, loose geometry, delete all that loose crap. Great. Okay, so now we want to expand these out just a little bit. So let's take, actually let's turn that on. And we can drop that down a little bit. I'm just pressing C here, and this is a select tool. It allows me to select. And that one looks like it's already through. No, we got a little bit of clipping through, but not too big of a deal. I think that one's a little bit too far. Can definitely go through a little bit. Not gonna be that noticeable. It's behind the driver anyway. Cool. All right. Make it kind of like an old school look now. Now, a couple things we do need, as you see there, is no material file. Ugh, what is this crap? Yeah, let's get rid of all this loose geometry. If we don't get rid of this, it's just going to add a lot of extra verts to our project and it'll increase the file size. We kind of just want to get rid of that. Sometimes that happens when they come in. I'll do it for the fiberglass here too. Easy fix. Okay, so we need to add a material file onto these. We're just going to rename it Roof Shade. Material file onto that. Roof Shade Fiberglass. Great. Same thing up here. Material file. Whoa, I didn't want to do that. 88 lights. And then 88KC. Now this little 88KC thing, that is the inside of the lights here, and that's going to be where the texture is going to go. Perfect. Looks good. Okay, so now let's get this into game. We've got a couple things we need to do first. Take notice over here is the location and the rotation. The very last, we need to highlight all of these. The very last one that you select is going to take the property of the location and the rotation when we join these together. So we need to join this all together into one mesh. So for example, if I were to just do 88 lights, this is all going to have this location and that rotation. That's not what we want. That's not good. We want this to be location zeroed out, so that when we get this into game, we know where it's going to go. So easy fix. So we're just going to make sure that we use the body as our last one, because that's location 0, rotation 0. We can easily change it if you were to mess around with this, and if you're noticing none of these have the right location, you can press Control A and then apply rotation, and that changes everything to 0. Same thing with rotation. Control A will bring up this little apply menu. Okay. Now, select all the stuff we want to put together, and we need to join them into one body. Beautiful. File, export. Ogre3d.scene.mesh is what we want. Or the other one. I don't know, they don't do the same thing. Pretty much the same thing. It does not matter at all what you name them here, but it does matter where you put it. So it's going to go to Rigger Rods. I'm going to put it right into my new folder. This name does not matter at all. It's actually going to take the name of your mesh. It's going to take the name that you've got right here, the mesh name. Okay, where do we got our stuff here? I moved out of it. So let's go back into content. Go to Team 88. And I like to sort by new, just so I can find stuff easy. Get the date. There we go. So body, barely retro, 88.mesh.xml. Perfect. That's what we want. Now, obviously that's an XML file, not a mesh file, so we need to find our XML converter, and we're going to convert it. We can delete everything else. There we go. So now we got a body, barely retro 88.mesh. Now, we've got a new body name, so I got to change it here. And actually, I want to go back into Blender. So what you're actually seeing here in the truck file, if I didn't make that clear, which is very possible, this is actually the material name. It's a material name here. I think I have all this other stuff in a material file, body Lexan, Fiberglass 1. I think that's all in a material file, just to make things confusing for you people. Sorry about that. I'm actually going to show the material file in a second, a little bit more in detail, because now we have a new mesh, so I can actually use a material file. If I had used the material before, it was going to mess up one of the two trucks, either the new truck or the old truck. You'd only show one image, it wouldn't show the second image. So let's, actually I just need the mesh. What am I doing? Okay, mesh standard. I have a disorganized file here. Great, so what do we need here as far as coloring goes? So I would say KC lights. I need to get the lights for this, so I need the image. Where do I have the image folder for the lights? What do you think I called that? What did I call that? That's fine. KC. Light cover. So we want that. Let's put it on my desktop. Let me close out all this stuff now. Oh, I lost my folder. Of course I did. Pop that in there. Copy the name of that. KC Lights is that one. And I'm just going to use kind of a default spec file, which is MT spec, which is kind of just a you're going to find this on a lot of truck, these MT specs, which is kind of just a monster truck spec file. Just a default thing. It's just a little black square, essentially. So it'll just kind of give it a default look. I have created my own little Chrome files, and I want to make the outside of this KC Light Chrome. So I got my own little Chrome files for that. As far as the roof shade and fiberglass goes, we got fiberglass.png, so we're going to do that for fiberglass. And we're not going to put any sort of a shine on that. It doesn't need to be shined. But we do need something to give this the right color. It's going to do a real small 50 by 50 pixel, a little block. And this is going to just be the coloring for our roof shade. Color. What do I call this? Color spec. Great, so now we got the lights onto the new body, which is this right here. Just kind of recap, this is the new body that we just created. These are the lights, and then this is the roof shade. So now, should be able to go into here, should be able to reload, and voila. Well, I messed something up. Messed something up. What did I mess up? Ah. So here's what I messed up. Completely forgot to put the mesh file into the truck. So we recolored the mesh file that we actually never put into here. So if you scroll down to the bottom, we're going to see props. So I still am using the old mesh file for the Barely Retro. As you see that this is painted, and the reason that that's painted is there's still a material file in here, which is now reverting back to the material file with the right color. So we actually made a new mesh, which is over here, barely red body right here. That barely body retro 88.mesh. So that is where I screwed up. No big deal. We just come back here, reload. There we go. Sweet. I apparently applied the KC lights to the wrong image or the wrong material file. So that's a little mistake, easy fix. Apparently I had these reversed. Actually, you know what? Easier fix. 88 lights, 88 KC. I'll have to mess with the annoying parts of the truck file. Refresh. Boom. Nice. The Chrome doesn't look right. I wonder if I don't have... What if I typed wrong here? Ah, I don't have the Chrome spec on this. Apparently I didn't use Chrome on this truck. What other truck did I have used Chrome? There we go. Alright, so now that should look better. Fine. There we go. Okay, so now we got Chrome, and that looks much nicer. Great, so now we've got an updated body with a roof shade, with the Chrome lights, and it looks pretty cool. The only thing that looks kind of dumb is these BKTs, and then we got some blue still left. Let's change the tires out. I'm going to put Goodyears on. So, let's find another truck with Goodyears that I like. What other truck do I have with Goodyears? Yeah, I might use these here. These. I like these tires a lot. They look pretty sweet. So I'm gonna grab these tires, the Herzog. What are these? Are these Goodyears? Yeah, these are Goodyears. So I need to find kind of crusher pack. Let's see. Let's try to figure out what kind of. This was 2019. Let's see what kind of tires we put onto this. Tires are usually on the very bottom. GY19.mesh. So we need Goodyear 19. Actually, there is a material file for this. Perfect. Great. This is what we're going to do. We're just going to take the material file because that'll be a little bit easier on us. We'll copy this. We'll put it on my desktop. We'll also need the images, which is GY tire, 18 John, dark, great. And I accidentally closed out of that. Should have done that. Great. Let's copy those right into our new Barely Tame. And then GY19. Now we don't need to add anything to manage materials here because there's a material file. This material file, if we go into here, it's going to have the name of the material. And again, the name of the material would be what's here. The material is the Blender material. So you may or may not know the name of the material without using Blender. Anyway, the name of the material, and then that's the image, and then the spec. Apparently there's a shine also somewhere that I had never used. Oh well. It wasn't in the other trucks folder either. So I don't think we need it. Anyway, so Goodyear 19 is our mesh. So let's go to the bottom, GY19. Oops, wrong truck. Barely Tame Retro. GY19. So let's go, see, we just replace these right here. We might have to make some minor adjustments after that, but maybe not. We'll find out. We're going to leave everything else the same. The rest of this we may have to mess with later. Let's see what it looks like before we go too crazy. Did I accidentally close out? Of course, I closed out of rods. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Okay, get out of here, Herzog. We don't need you. Oh, nice. Yeah, they went on beautifully. Yeah, that is nice. I like that a lot more than those BKTs. They just didn't look nice with this truck. But that is looking pretty spiffy. I still think the body looks a little bit flat. I don't like the spec file we created for that. I might want to respec that because it just looks too flat and not bright enough. So maybe we just go crazy with it and do something more like that. You know what? I wonder if I named it wrong in here. Maybe that's why it's so flat. I think I did. That might be the cause of the reason that this looks so flat. Yeah, I did. That is the issue there. There we go. Now it might be a little too shiny. All right, that looks so much better. That might be a little too shiny now, but that's good enough for now. Only other things that I want to change, the wheelie bar and the engine still has some blue in it, so we need to change that to be red. Then after that, this truck is 100% beautiful. So I'm not too sure where the wheelie bar is getting its color. But if I remember correctly, I think it's just right into here. Wheelie bar, extra wheelie bar. Barely blue spec. So this is actually now, we made a new little red thing. It's barely 88 color. And then barely 88 colored F spec. Oh, we don't want that spec. We want that just spec. Great. Now the only thing left to change would be the engine, which is a little more complicated. I'm not too sure what that one would be. Let's see, let's try to find it here. Barely engine block. This is going to be a little bit more difficult to change, I think. Change everything. Let's just do that section. Something like that. Wait, is this the spec? Oh, I just realized that I brought the spec over and not the actual one. That's the spec. This is the actual engine block. What's the difference? Let me put this back here. A little brighter. A little brighter. Okay. Did I get all that? Okay, looks pretty good. Let's put an 88 on the end of that one. on that one, and then we'll look down here. So engine block would be engine block. Engine block 88. 88 spec. Save that. Go into here. Reload. Nice. Last would be the air filter. 17KN air filter. Oh, looks like that's the name of it. I can't find it. Hello, air filter. Ah, right here. We're going to do the exact same thing that we did on the last one. This can be a little bit more difficult. I don't want to mess with this part. How can I... We'll see how it looks. Yeah, see, that's going to change that. We're going to use replace color. Nice. That looks much better. Okay, now this is the actual one. The other one I think is a little bit brighter, so let's see how that looks. This is the spec, so fuck, 188. Wow. Save for web. 88. And we'll do the same thing here. Direct the truck file to the correct spec. Oh, wait. Wrong line. There we go. Sweet. Great. And we're done. So that's a pretty, hopefully that wasn't too long. That was a short little tutorial on how to repaint a truck, use Blender to modify a body, change the tires using the truck file, and do some repaints throughout the truck. Hopefully you can use what you've learned in this tutorial to kind of expand upon that and create your own stuff. Now obviously this tutorial is just using a pre-made truck that obviously you can, if you really wanted to go crazy in Blender, you could create everything from scratch, but that would be a little bit more advanced. And for a beginner, I recommend just learning from what everyone else has already done before you start getting into more advanced truck building. So that's all I got. Hope everyone learned something from this. And see you next time.